So Battle of the Sexes is the third film from directing duo Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Faris. The film follows the true story of the legendary tennis match between Bobby Riggs, played by Steve Carell, and Billie Jean King, played by Emma Stone. The film depicts the mistreatment of women in the game of tennis, with King pushing for equal pay between men and women while facing opposition from the male-dominated tennis leagues. And the film is banging out the sad truth of this fight continuing today in the workplace. But despite the film's poignant message, it is however bogged down by its inability to break from genre conventions. Now, don't let my thesis statement fool you. This is a solid film with many positives. And some positives start off Emma Stone and Steve Carell. Without the strong performances from these two leads, this film simply doesn't work. And despite sharing only a handful of scenes, their chemistry from Crazy Stupid Love carries. Steve Carell brings a lot of humanity to the role of the outlandish Bobby Riggs, who otherwise would just be a ridiculous showboating sexist, but instead is a man trying to reconnect with his family, while also trying to reclaim his name to fame. Emma Stone's King, on the other hand, is a dichotomy, strong and defiant in one scene and vulnerable and touching in another. And while for a mediocre performer these sudden changes could be seen as jarring and off-putting, in the hands of Stone the character becomes more enigmatic and three-dimensional. Other positives in the form of a surprisingly standout performance between Sarah Silverman as King's manager. Not to say it's surprising Sarah Silverman would give a great performance, but more that I didn't expect her to steal scenes from an Academy Award-winning actor like Emma Stone. But to get past the performances, the cinematography and editing is relatively seamless, with no cuts or shots that appear too flashy. The shots are well composed though, with one shot of Emma Stone sitting in the locker room after a big match. The way the camera pushes her to the outskirts of a frame, isolating her, exemplifies how the film, for the most part, relies on show, don't tell. Now here's the part of the review where we get to the negatives. Although in totality the pacing of the film is decent, the first act really drags. It isn't really till the Battle of the Sexes match is announced that the film begins to pick up. And as I said prior, the film tries to be a relatively generic sports movie that breaks convention through its feminist perspective. But that is not enough to make the film stand out. The ending, for example, feels straight out of Casablanca. Overall, I give Battle of the Sexes a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It is another worthy addition to the catalog of Dayton and Faris films due to its ridiculous yet heartwarming performance from Carell and a rebellious yet vulnerable performance from Stone. The film deserves your time. I just wish it demanded it. Thanks again, I'm Peck, and now back to the host.